hooked on you, baby golden. Time moves, I don't know, it's just can't get enough. Got me wonderstruck. I keep on waiting for the hurricane to come and wash the magic that you brought away. But it's
What's going on, everybody? It's me, Mark. I am here at DragonCon 2024, and I am joined by my very special guest, Elemental Cosplay.
Hi.
Why don't you go ahead and tell my audience who may not be familiar with you a little bit about yourself before we get into the interview?
Okay, well, my name is Sam, or Elemental Cosplay. I've been cosplaying for, I think, 6 or 7 years now. I am a scientist in real life, a conservation biologist, and I've been sewing for like 35 years, and that's actually how I got into cosplay, but I just love sewing.
Oh, really? Okay. So, you weren't sewing cosplay until you were just like, oh, let me decide to merge the two together?
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
My grandma started teaching me when I was a toddler, and I've been sewing ever since.
That's incredible. So let me ask, how specifically did you as a scientist and a conservationist get into cosplay, and how has your career impacted the style of cosplay?
So, DragonCon was actually my first convention ever.
Really?
Like, trial by fire.
Mine too?
It was before I started cosplaying. DragonCon actually invites a lot of scientists to come, and they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come and do some talks and do some panels. And so I was like, that sounds like fun. And then I showed up and I was like, 80,000 people in downtown Atlanta, right? But the cosplay really got me. Well, first of all, I walked in and I was like, are all Comic-Cons like this? But then I saw so many great cosplays and I was so excited, and I did a lot of people watching and just telling everybody how great they looked. And it still took a few years after that, but that really stuck with me. I was finishing my PhD at the time. So when I finally had time again, that just stuck with me, and I really wanted to start, making my own costumes.
That is amazing. So let me ask, because I did a little research on you, there's one specific cosplay you've done that I was like, oh, I have to interview you. But what cosplay are you most known for?
Captain Planet. Yeah, obviously. I loved that show when I was a kid, and I really think it just stuck with me, and I became a conservation biologist. But now I love doing it. You don't see enough people doing Captain Planet, and I like to hand out reusable straws and tell people to save the planet. People love it, actually. I wasn't expecting that the first time I did it, but now I try to do it once at every convention I go to.
I think the reason why people love it is just because of the impact the show had on just this particular generation of people,
Right.
me included, and the history behind the show in itself. But like I said, when I was researching you and I saw that was your dominant cosplay, I just was like, the first question I have to ask you, so we get to this topic is, would you be happy if they rebooted the series for this generation?
Absolutely, I would love it. I forget what streaming service it's on. You can stream it, and a couple of kids have come up to me and said that their parents had them watch it and they loved it. It would be great if it was rebooted. We need it now more than ever.
Exactly.
And it was only a few seasons, but it really did stick with our generation, right?
Yeah.
It was so awesome, and it was a limited Marvel series, so Captain Planet is a Marvel superhero.
That's actually a fact. Yes, you're right. Oh my God, I can nerddom unlocked.
Right.
But no, you're right. Like, I remember the episode of, what is her name? Gee, she was like, instead of using paper towels, use a tea towel. And I was like, ever since then, I've been doing it. Just like, I'm not going to use a paper, I'm going to use a tea towel to clean this fill up.
Right.
It got
so true.
every part, everyone's little part counts. Everyone's little part counts. And also, fun fact, Captain Planet is very powerful in himself. Like
extremely powerful.
Like you throw tow trucks into the sun, garbage trucks into the sun. You turn pollution plants into recycling centers. Like I don't understand the science behind it. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that. But
Captain Planet might be one of the strongest Marvel superheroes, to be honest.
Yes, and he's all about environmental justice and just making sure that we have this beautiful planet to share with not only everybody, but we gift it to the next generation better than we found it.
Right.
I love that message. I'm sorry. I just love geeking out with you about that. I was so happy to do that. But getting back to your cosplay, outside of your Captain Planet cosplay, what other characters do you cosplay?
Now that's a loaded question. Way too many. I'm one of those people who every time I watch something new, I'm like, oh, I'm going to cosplay that. I'm going to cosplay that. I'm always working on like 10 things at a time. I might finish them, I might not. Who knows? But I did a lot of Daenerys while Game of Thrones was on. I started cosplaying at a convention and saw a table for a cosplay volunteer group that cosplays for charity events and at children's hospitals. And I've always loved doing volunteer work. And that's actually what got me into cosplaying more frequently and making a lot more costumes. The first costume I made was Supergirl, and that's the only thing I was cosplaying at the time. And so I do a lot of superheroes, princesses, that kind of thing for volunteering. That's probably what I do the most. I do volunteer events almost every weekend. So that takes up a lot of costume space. And I try to do stuff at conventions that I wouldn't do for volunteering.
So what would be an example of that?
I just started doing a lot of Taylor Swift because she wears a lot of amazing stuff in her Eras tour.
That is true.
Yeah.
You will make an amazing Taylor Swift.
Okay. Thank you. And I like to do weird stuff sometimes, stuff that's really funny, especially if a friend is doing something and wants me to do it with them. I had a friend who used to cosplay the Swedish chef, and I was the chicken. I did that at conventions a lot.
Were you in a pot?
But no, not in a pot.
Okay.
No. I'm vegan. I can't be a cooked chicken. The same friend did Maui a lot, and so I was hey.
Oh, that's nice. That is nice.
I cosplayed actually gender bend Ricky Bobby for a while.
Oh, that would be fun.
I made all 3 jumpsuits, and I used to get female friends to cosplay it with me all the time. It was always a group of women with me, and we all cosplayed the racers. That's a lot of fun. That
does sound like fun. Let me ask you, so since you haven't been cosplaying that long, what was that feeling like when you finally finished your first cosplay, however you did it, and you put it on and you adorned it for the first time and you're looking at yourself in the mirror like, okay, what was that feeling like for you?
I spent so much time on that first Supergirl costume, and as soon as I put it on, I was like, this is amazing. This is my hobby now. But then I showed up at a convention and photographers came up to me and they were like, okay, do your poses. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? I thought I just showed up and geeked out with everybody. But I quickly learned to have a couple at the ready, so I wasn't so deer in the headlights. But yeah, and then it's a slippery slope from there. Tale as old as time, cosplay out of control.
Well, I think this is a slippery slope that worked out very well for you. Your story is so amazing. I can't believe it. Let me ask you this: how do you approach recycling and conservation when it comes to crafting your cosplay?
Oh, that's a really good question. I try as much as possible to not purchase anything new. I'm always recycling, upcycling, reusing fabric I find at thrift stores, taking sequins off of dresses at thrift stores to reuse the sequins because the plastic adds up. So I do that as much as possible. go to a lot of thrift stores. I look for a lot of prom gowns because it's a lot of fabric for
Yeah.
very little money. And yeah, every once in a while I will buy new fabric,
Okay.
but for the most part, I try to reuse everything.
Okay. Do you like also reuse old cosplays, or do you once you
Yeah.
have a good cosplay, you like this is one that's staying in the collection?
I do both.
Okay.
So I have some that I have had for years, and then I have others that I tear apart to reuse all the pieces and materials for.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. So why don't you tell me who are you cosplaying as today?
Taylor Swift today. This took a really long time because of all the. I told myself I was never going to hand sew this much sequins, and here we are. Right? But yeah, I love the bodysuit, and to be honest, little girls love it.
Really?
Yeah, they get really excited to come up and see somebody cosplaying Taylor Swift. They really look up to her, and so that's pretty cool.
I think that's because you're giving them a memory that's going to stay with them, and little did you know, you turn them all into nerds, and they're going to be like, I'm going to cosplay anybody.
That's right.
So you're going to be responsible for the next generation of nerds and young ladies who are getting into cosplay. So that is fantastic. Let me ask you, what is your favorite part about cosplay?
I really love meeting other dorks, to be honest. One is, before I started cosplaying, outside of my field, as an adult, it's really hard to make friends and find places to make friends.
Agreed.
But once I started going to conventions and cosplaying, I met tons of people who have very similar interests, and that's probably my favorite thing. I see other people in the same costume, or I see them costuming from the same universe, and we get all excited and geek out on each other, and that's honestly probably the best part for me.
Yes.
And then the volunteer work too.
That is perfect. That is perfect. I just want to geek out with you one more moment. What are some of your favorite fandoms to geek out to? Like when you get home from Dragon Con, you're like, okay, I want to rest my feet up and put some ice on my legs.
Yeah.
What are you putting on Netflix? What are you reading? What video games are you playing?
So, Aliens is one of my big things.
Really?
Yeah, I was Ripley this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was an Alien meetup, and I freaking love the Alien franchise. It's so good. It stands up still.
Yes.
Even those original movies.
Yes.
Yeah, they were the best ones, honestly.
They
the
are.
First two.
They are just being able to use practical effects and
Yeah.
just stuff. Oh my God! Like modern movies need to take a step back and pay
Right.
attention. But
And I obviously watch a lot of Marvel.
yeah,
I went through a long period where I watched all the DC TV shows, although that ended up being a ton of TV and I just couldn't keep up with it.
right.
They had 5 shows on at one time. And I do like to watch Disney shows. I cosplay a lot of Disney for the children's hospitals. And honestly, when I just need to take a load off though, I watch one sitcom over and over and over. Right now it's Community.
That's a good one to watch.
Yeah.
That's a really good one to watch. Before we go, is there any advice you can offer to anyone out there that is interested in not only cosplaying but also interested in protecting our planet?
So one is to just protecting the planet and cosplay together. It's just to be really conscious when you are making a cosplay or buying a cosplay of what the carbon footprint is. You don't need to know exactly, but just try to keep that in the front of your mind is how would this impact the planet? And I know that a lot of people order costumes from China. I do not fault them at all. They're more affordable. However, that carbon footprint is huge.
Yes.
And making cosplays, if you're buying all new materials every single time, that adds up to a lot, especially things that are plasticky, glitter, sequins, that kind of thing, vinyl fabric. And as far as cosplaying goes, I do a lot of panels on, it's basically it's okay to cosplay no matter who you are. A lot of people sometimes are afraid to start cosplaying or afraid to get more into it because they're worried about what other people will say. They're not the right body type, they don't look like this person, but that's not the point of cosplay. The point of cosplay is to have fun and, you know, geek out with other people. And if you want to make stuff, have fun making it. And just, it shouldn't stop you. The sky's the limit. It doesn't matter. Nothing else matters other than you having fun in your costume.
Perfect. I would like to thank you so much for just giving me this time and just geeking out with me about Captain Planet. Just one last thing before we go, can we just tell our audience go Planet before we leave? Just go Planet. Like
okay. That. All right. Ready?
Yes. 1, 2, 3. Go Planet! All right. Perfect. Okay. I'm such a nerd.
We all are. That's why we're here.
Yes. All right. That's the end of this interview. I'll have more coming from DragonCon 2024 soon. Stay tuned. Don't forget to leave a like on this video and subscribe.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was.